Hi everyone, I'm Nicole Formosa, the managing editor of Bike Magazine, and we're here at the 2015 Bible of Bike Tests. And tonight we're talking about the Niner Jet 9 RDO, cross-country carbon fiber 100 mil bike. It's sort of middle of the range. The frame starts at $2,900, and you can get a super sweet Jet 9 all the way up to $10,000. So what do you guys think of this bike?
I really liked it. It was, part of it, it was my first lap of the day, so maybe I was a little bit more sprightly, but I thought it motored up hills incredibly well. We had a few technical sections, some really tight switchbacks right out the beginning, and I felt like this was a bike that I could steer through anything. There, in the same sections of trail I'd ridden the day before, I was kind of muscling it over on other bikes, and this bike, it just is suddenly all these opportunities, it just kind of avoid obstacles came into being. It's a 29er. So it goes over those things really well, but it just felt incredibly nimble, which blew me away. Afterwards, I looked at the geometry chart and was like, whoa, this has got a pretty long wheelbase. It's like almost 18-inch chainstays, and it didn't feel like that at all, which goes to show you that geometry charts are just data.
Yeah, it's between the bike's geometry and the way it's built and the component spec that's on it, it was my last lap of the day. And the bike was, compared to the other cross-country bikes we'd ridden that day, a fair bit rangier and more, it's more of like, it's a race bike, or maybe it's a trail bike pretending to be a race bike. It's race day only, right? RDO stands for race day only. And that's the same frame they use in the $10,000 build, and then this $5,400-ish dollar.
$5,400, yeah.
And they put a bunch of different stuff on it. Still a 1x11 drivetrain, but there's a pike fork up front on this.
Yeah,
what's with
and
that?
It's a 120 millimeter fork, and it slackens the bike off by a degree, and you've got this 45 some inch wheelbase. Even with all that, it was really a comfortable, graceful climbing bike. It was tractable. You could motor up the hill really well. To me, it felt a little bit like if you stood up in some of that sandy, pumicey stuff, that it would try to break traction a little bit.
I also noticed it had pretty wide tires for, I guess, what would be an XC bike. So did it feel XC
It
on
still
the trail?
did. For me, it still did. Yeah. I like all of this. Like you say, what's up with the bike? I was like, oh, finally, someone's like, it's a cross-country bike, yeah. But I don't mind my cross-country bike being a little bit more versatile. And the bigger tire, I absolutely felt much more engaged, more control in the corners that we had. This is actually, I know that it was the fastest bike that I rode downhill, even though we even wound up riding a bike with considerably more travel. I felt that pike up front, the bigger tire, it just made the bike, I wouldn't say fearless by any stretch, but compared to other cross-country bikes, really controlled.
And the whole, the wheelbase, the stability of it, the thing, you could just bomb it downhill, which is not terminology you usually use with a cross-country bike.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I think it's cool that it comes with that pike, and I mean, we all have talked about that fork a lot. It's a big, it's made a big splash in the industry in the last year or so. But can you get it? You can get it with
a 100.
A 100 too, right?
Yeah, so it's
So
just
it's a
an offering.
120.
This is an offering.
This is an offering.
That's a pretty rad offering,
It's
isn't
an
it?
awesome offering.
Like, that's cool to do that on an XC bike. Like,
It's great.
It's not a trail bike. It's not even it's not marketed as a trail bike. This is a racing bike, RDO.
Yeah.
And you can get a pike on it. Like, that's pretty cool.
But that kind of gets to the point too that not all races are the same, right? Not even all cross-country races are the same. So maybe if you're kind of flat tracking somewhere and it wasn't a technical course, maybe the shorter travel fork would be better. But maybe we're doing a bigger, more adventurous, more technical cross-country race, which there are plenty of.
Yeah.
This would be the better option.
Or maybe if your race bike, step in front of you then.
That's right.
If your race bike is also your daily driver, it's your one bike, and you got to ride that with your buddies on the weekend that you're not racing, or you're riding it all week long, it's a really good call for that. I was blown away by how comfortable and at the same time fun it was to ride, and still, if you have to buckle down and pedal hard, it does it just without complaint. It's fine.
Has Dior brakes on it, right?
Oh, yes! That was great. That was great. Yes, thank you for that. Whoever specs this is just killing it. Okay, so it's got the bike for it. We're ready about that. But Dior brakes, maybe the unsexiest brake in the world, but they're so good.
They work well.
They work really well. They're obscenely well for it. It's the budget brake for Shimano.
And they cost 1/100th of an XTR brake.
Yeah, it's like a ton of performance for not. So the bottom line is, by speccing that brake, they're able to put better components where you needed them on the bike. Like
Yeah.
there was no, in my mind, there's no loss in performance. Sure, the Dioris weigh a little bit more.
They're
Obviously.
a little less powerful.
Yeah,
but
and they
they're
come
really
they went
good
with the
brakes,
bigger.
really good
Didn't they do like a 180, 160 rotor? They
180
did,
front,
yeah,
160 rear.
which was nice, and I felt it had plenty of power. I just thought like someone is doing their job right because this brake is totally acceptable. It does a job and allowed them to put better parts elsewhere that I needed.
So to meet price point, they went X1 on the componentry instead of XO or
XO1, yeah.
XO1, right?
Yeah.
And they went with Dior on the brakes, which are still a very good performing brake. But then you get Pike Fork, you get full CTD, Kashima,
Yeah.
Wonder Fox shock.
And it's not just
And-
the pike. It's not like a lower end pike. It's the
No,
top
it's
end.
the CTD, or sorry, it's
RCT3.
RCT3 PO.
So you guys feel like for the price for that, $5,400, this is a great components package. It sounds
Yeah,
like.
yeah,
I mean,
I think
it's
it's a kick-ass
it's a
spec.
good value
Yeah.
for what
Even-
you're going to spend on.
Yeah,
it.
and someone wants to kick us in the teeth because we just said a $5,000 bike is a good value. But
Yeah.
bear in mind, it's a full carbon frame,
Yeah.
right?
Which retails for
$2,900, right?
the
Yeah.
frame.
So for the frame, so then you get a great, really good package on the components that you can go out and race, and it's totally within the realm of what other bikes are at that price, and it's a better value than a lot of bikes in that realm. So
Yeah. I mean, all in all, price aside, it's a very smartly spec'd bike.
Yeah.
And it comes with, having that fork option is really cool. And I mean, if you're considering XE racing bike, this is definitely one to be on your list.
For more video bike reviews from the 2015 Bible of Bike Test, go to bikemag.com.